Gayle Ruzicka on KTALK.
And we are back, and we appreciate Paula coming on with us. And I really appreciate the things that she said about, you know, these people that are on the school board now and others that are working at the district office are friends of hers. They're people that she knows, and but she also pointed out they just don't get it. And even she said until she started studying it, she didn't get it. And that's something we need to keep in mind. Just because we like somebody, just because they're our friend, if they don't get it, if they don't understand it, we can't let our friendship with these people allow us to let them continue in the spots that they're in, influencing our children, affecting the education of our children. We've got to ask for the very best for our children. And even if your best friend is on the school board and doing the wrong thing, you got to vote for the good guy. So speaking of which, we have another good guy to be on with us today. So we have with us Casey.
Hi, how are you, Gayle?
I'm just fine, Casey. How about you?
I am excellent.
And so Casey,
thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Well, we're happy to do it. You're here with David, Kyle, and myself. And I guess, David, the question we have for Casey is, why are you running for the Alpine School District for the school board?
You
know what? Wait a minute. I'm going to back up. I shouldn't have jumped into that one so fast. I got excited. First, we need people to tell us who you need to tell the people who you are.
Okay. Well, my name's Casey. I'm a pretty young candidate. I'm recently graduated from the Alpine School District. I'm a K through 12 student in our district, and I've worked at a few different elementary schools since I was 15 as like a teacher's aide, a substitute teacher, a special education assistant, and also an educator at the Christa McAuliffe Space Education Center. And since 2001, I've logged over 3,000 hours in our school district of volunteer time. And so I've just kind of been coming at this from a younger perspective of someone who is just barely in the system. And if you actually, next time you talk to Oak, you should ask him about his conversation with my mom, which led to him starting this math fight. And our family's experienced a lot of the math problems in the school district. And, I mean, it's kind of that led me to this decision where I decided to throw my hat in the ring and run for it. So
now, Casey, you say you're young. Where are you? Are you going to school now? How old are you?
I'm 21 years old, and
hey, that's exciting, Casey. You're 21. I love it.
I'm 21, and it's interesting. Just the other day, I was speaking to a councilman from Saratoga Springs, and he had just heard the debate and of all of the school board candidates, and he said, he's like, I would really be supporting you. You would be my candidate, but I'm sorry, you're just too young. And I loved your opening comment at the beginning of this segment, Gayle, because that is exactly how people are. They're like, they don't always vote exactly on the principle. They sometimes throw things in. I mean, that's why you have Sarah Palin out endorsing and campaigning for John McCain. You had Mitt Romney out here campaigning for Bennett instead of being principled conservatives. And so, anyway, that's just, I could go on.
Good point.
That was very well said. Now, Casey, we have to ask you the same question we asked Paula, because you and Paula are running against each other. So now where do you take your stand on this whole this democracy versus a republic thing with Alpine School District?
Well, it is actually my second point on my website, which is CaseyVoeks.com. And I would say it's like ranked right up there next to the math problem in the school district, but I think they're all kind of coupled together. And I would work to change the social studies curriculum to better focus on the Founding Fathers and the Constitution. My experience in government and citizenship just a couple years ago was that we were supposed to memorize the amendments to the Constitution, and that was it. You just memorize the amendments, you pass them off, and wow, bam, you're an expert on American government. And instead, we need to have things in our school district like a Constitution Bowl. I've heard about Tooele, how they have a program like that. I've already talked to teachers and parents that would be totally willing to volunteer their time get something like that started. I'd love to work with the teachers to see what we could do to have them focus on.
You know, Casey, there was a time when we did have the Constitution Bowl down in Utah County, and young people from all of the schools around in Utah County did have the opportunity to participate. So it'd be good to bring it back.
Absolutely. I think there's an interest too. And I have this amazing quote from President George Washington about this very topic, and it's so important. And he says, a primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important, and what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of this country? And that quote says it all. I mean, not only does he not mistaken democracy for republic or whatever, but he nails it across the board, and that is so important. And unfortunately, social studies is just not the focus that it should be in our schools.
Well, that's
a proper education of original intent in our Constitution.
That's
anyway.
That's well said, Casey, and everything you say sounds really good. Now, the voters are going to be, questioning, of course, your age, like they are. So now I want to hear from you. You said you did community service and you work at the school district. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, 3,000 volunteer hours in the school district, that's not just that's not some passing thing you just do just because. And, I mean, that's over a year and a half of free labor for the district. I'm also a recently returned LDS missionary. I served in Houston, Texas, South Mission. And I'm an Eagle Scout. I mean, I've done everything that I possibly could so far to justify, my intentions. I'm tired of, when I got off my mission, America was a different country than when I left. I mean, now I didn't leave America, but I was in the mission field, not really focused on politics or those kinds of things. But when I came back, and we had a completely different president, a different way of doing government. It was all out in the open. President Bush was a wasteful spender, but holy cow, President Obama has just taken that to the whole new level. And so, but I'm not a single issue candidate. I mean, I have a lot of things that I care about. I mean, I have 4 other issues. And I just really want to see us, just go back to the traditional math program. Our students aren't the guinea pigs. We don't need to be experimenting in our school district with no programs like that. We need to be very fiscally responsible. I don't know if you've seen some of these new buildings that the school district's building, but, Westlake High School, Willow Creek Middle School, these buildings are lavish. They are over the top. When I walked into Westlake recently, I was like, wow, this is a really nice building. And then my second thought was, whoa, this is too nice. This is ridiculous. This building was built during one of the worst economic downturns in America's history, and I'm sorry, there were not revisions, as far as I can see, made to the building's plan in order to cope with the financial pressures that our school district and our country are facing. So I want to ask those tough questions. Just today, a teacher was talking to me. He said, it'll be fun if you get on the board and it'll be great. It won't just be fun. It'll be awesome because we'll finally have someone that isn't going to just let things slide. They're going to ask the real question. I love how Glenn Beck frequently says, question with boldness, question everything, because as Thomas Jefferson says, truth fears no question. And we need to ask these questions on the board, not to be belligerent or to be a jerk, but you ask them because this is a real problem. And we need to be vigilant and careful. So, anyway.
Now, Casey, you said you are in school?
I'm enrolled at UVU. I'm actually not going currently until the school board race is either a win or a loss, because it's just such a time commitment to have a full-time job.
But in the fall you'll be at UVU, right?
In fall, if I win the primary, then I need to continue on campaigning. But I will take like a class or two. But I won't be taking a full schedule until January.
Well, I have to say this is just amazing, and we are going to be taking a break in just a minute. And we'll be back to discuss this more. But I think what you're doing I love what you're doing because you are young, because you have just left the public school system, now going into the university system, and you know as a young person what it is that you need to be taught and what you weren't taught, what needs to be in the schools. Sometimes that's the view we need. In fact, I'm excited about it, but we'll be back in just a minute.
All right, thank you.